Okay, amazing. Thank you guys for joining in. I know there was a lot of confusion about the link for this meeting. I'm glad that you guys found the right link and you have uh, joined in. So I used to do this quite a bit in the beginning of this community, where we would do like these Q&As because I know, most people started off with a 30-day free email course. And of course, because that's just emails coming your way, a lot of people had questions and I was bombarded with emails and I just couldn't find the bandwidth to answer all of the emails. So I thought, let me do these Q&A sessions so you guys can come here and ask your questions and get answers in person, detail and maybe clarify a few points. And then in between, life happened, work happened, and this got a bit discontinued. So from last month onwards, I have restarted this where I'm planning to do one Q&A session every month to answer your questions, everything about content writing. And of course, all these past recordings are also available on my YouTube channel. So you guys can go there and check out what other folks have asked. Typically, there are a few questions that happen on repeat, and I'll try and answer those also. But looking through past recordings will also give you some sense of what is it that everybody is struggling with, right? So this is your stage. You guys can ask me any question, content related, life related, and I'm happy to answer those. I'd also love to know some of your experiences in the sense who you are as a content writer, what have you been doing, what are, some of the challenges that you're facing, and where is it that, you need some support or mentorship to get into the highly paid writers club, right? So over to you. If you want to ask questions, please raise your hand and then I will unmute you, or I'll ask you to unmute. So you can ask your question and I will answer. So who would like to go first? No one? Maybe the course is so good that it's self-explanatory. You can also talk about anything which is um, maybe on your mind when it comes to content writing, right? Like, for example, um, I think one of the questions on ChatGPT keeps coming up many times. So if there's something that you feel, and trust me, no question is a silly question. All questions are valid, and you would get the best out of uh, whatever I know if you ask me questions, because that's when I can really, dive deeper into a topic. Otherwise, I sort of operate from what I think everybody should know and then level up. So, questions would definitely help you get the right information that you would need. Okay, I see a raised hand. Humera, hi. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. Hi, good evening, Supriya.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, so as just now you said regarding ChatGPT,
Yeah.
I always felt I'm not very good with English and grammar and all. And when ChatGPT started, I feel I could put my thoughts in a better way.
Hmm.
So I wanted to ask because recently when I was making one post, I thought of checking it with their website where you can check whether it is AI generated content or not.
Yeah.
The thing which I didn't came at one shot what I was expecting. So I was like giving different prompts and just trying to uh, make it the way I wanted it. Finally, what I got, I went and checked it on AI. Is it detecting as AI content? And
Okay.
it was 100%.
Hmm.
And earlier, and that time I realized that earlier also 2 3 posts which I had put on LinkedIn, I didn't check it on the AI detection web page.
Hmm.
So does it affect or does it make a content restricted if it is AI generated? And will
Okay.
it not push my page on LinkedIn?
Okay. So that maybe in depth someone who's working on digital marketing can answer you, but what I would say that there is a lot of ambiguity on this right now,
Mhm.
because on one end, everybody is integrating these ChatGPT like generative AI capabilities into their own systems. So they
Mhm.
can't outright ban it. Like Google, for example, has Bard. If people are using Bard to generate content, it can't really ban people from using it, right? So there is somewhat some sort of ambiguity around it as to what is acceptable and what is not. But I'll give you an example of something that recently happened to give you a context of why it's important to not use stuff that you generate from these engines directly. So I'm a part of this entrepreneurs community, and there was this conversation happening. So there are people in different fields there, and there was this conversation happening about fitness and health, because there is a health coach, and she was talking about some of these things, what kind of diets to follow, and somehow the conversation turned to coffee, and then people started asking questions about, is it okay to add butter to your coffee or stuff like that. And suddenly, and there was then a discussion started where somebody put a counter view and then somebody else put another view. So uh, suddenly she put out like a very long paragraph, very long response of 2, 3 paragraphs um, onto the chat window. And immediately we could know that it is ChatGPT generated. Why? Because it was very different from her usual tone, right? The Because we are in the same group, we sort of got to know, how she writes and what are the kind of things that she talks about. And all of a sudden, here was a very manufactured response, which was very proper and accurate, and it just lacked a personality. And two, three of us like said, "Is this AI generated?" And she took a bit of offense to it. We didn't mean an offense. We were just curious to know that, how all of a sudden your tone changed. And then she did say, yes, I use ChatGPT to generate it. Yeah. So that's what happens when you use content as it is, even after giving multiple prompts, because it's not your voice, right? So while you can use ChatGPT to um, dig for ideas, to get you those thought starters, to even fix a few grammatical issues if you feel there are, though while you were talking, I didn't feel there was too much in terms of language that you need to work on. So if you do that, that's fine, right? Because you're still adding your voice to it, and ChatGPT is just fixing some of the things. But if you use it as it is, then people will know, right? And then what that does is your credibility as a writer goes down. That And also, if you notice, these kind of engines generate very repetitive stuff. You'll start seeing patterns and examples and stuff that they keep using
Right.
over again, right? And that's how people recognize that this is AI. They don't even need engines to detect it for them anymore. And then your credibility as a writer goes down, that you haven't applied your brains to it. You've just
Mhm.
picked up what, an AI engine generated for you, right? So, so my thought process to that would be, don't worry about whether what an algorithm is going to do with an AI generated content, whether it's going to push your page on LinkedIn or not. Worry more about what people will perceive if they see you are pushing out AI generated content without personalizing it, right?
Mhm.
So that's point one. The other thing is also, um, when you mentioned that it detected 100% AI, right?
Mhm.
That happens, and I'm just extending that answer. It's not very relevant to your question, but I just want to also say that it happens because AI detection engines look for certain things, right? Um, if if your sentences are monotonous, if they're the same length, if you're repeating an idea over and over, and you will see that in AI generated responses, right? They'll repeat the same idea multiple times. So if you do that, and if you write very mechanical language, right, like very proper language, it will be detected as AI generated. Yeah. So if you want to avoid that detection, whatever you pick up from these tools, also you have to humanize that response by making it more conversational, by using more simpler words, simpler statements, and smaller, crisper, very modulated kind of sentences. And when you do that, it becomes more of what you would say, and that detection score will also go down, right? So if it's at 100% AI, if you do these tweaks, it'll probably say, okay, it's just 10% AI. So those kind of things make a difference. And I hope that answered your
Correct. Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
awesome.
And on an average, how much time do I have to spend every day so that I can, you know, write down my ideas in a right way? And because sometimes I feel like if I sit down, like if I have to sit with my thoughts, I need to give a lot of time because then typing and everything. So sometimes maybe that's why I'm taking those shortcuts and I'm not actually putting down my real ideas there. So how much time should I dedicate?
So it also depends on what is it that you're writing for, right? So for example, I write for my clients. Yeah.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
my time is determined by how much work they're sending me. I'm like literally writing zero stuff for myself. And therefore, this problem of thinking through what I need to write doesn't come up
Mhm.
for me. So I'm curious to know, are you writing your own blogs or stuff like that? Or who is it that you're writing for?
Okay. So I am a teacher. So right now on a career break, trying to get into a little bit hands-on life coaching and counseling, and also trying to set my this kind of like I want to work for kids and mothers for the holistic development of a child. So in this area, I'm trying to develop my content and everything.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
you are effectively writing for yourself, right?
right, right.
Okay, so in that case, again, writing is a very creative thing, right? You can't just turn
Mhm.
on the tap. There is something to be said about discipline to say, okay, no matter what, I'm going to type out 500 words a day. And that discipline is really important when you're writing for yourself because you don't have any deadlines, right? So just things go their own, it takes, its own sweet time and things never happen. So in that case, setting those deadlines and setting our time aside to write is very important. It's okay if you end up writing rubbish in that time, but that's fine. But like you said, you're not able to think through your ideas, right? So what I would say, and this is what I also do, I'm sure you guys keep getting emails from me even beyond the 30-day email course. So there is a content plan
Mhm.
that we create to say, okay, here are the things that are important to my people, right? This is what content writers would need to know about. They want to know about how to find clients. They want to know about how to price their products. They want to know how do I, get the price that I'm looking for? How do you negotiate, right? So I first find out what are the problem areas, what are the things people struggle with. And then based on those questions, what are the ways I can answer those questions in, right? And with that, I make a content plan. And I said, okay, I'm going to write so many emails or make so many videos. And then this will become, and every asset, so every idea translate into multiple assets, right? So today,
Right,
if I want to tell you what is content writing, I will make a video on it. Then I'll distill some of that video and I'll write an email on it. Then I'll probably distill a little bit more and make a social media copy of it. I'll cut down that video and maybe make a YouTube short of it. So one idea gets into multiple content formats to reach different people in different platforms, right?
right.
So first thing would be to make your content. All of you who are bloggers here, who are writing for yourself, creating a content calendar is really, really important. And this is what we also do for, like, I do for my clients when they say, okay, what do we need to do next? When I consult them on content strategy, I tell them this is your 3 month, 6 month, 9 month plan. This is how it's going to look like. These are the topics you need to talk on. Here are the different assets that you need to create. So if you're blogging for yourself or writing LinkedIn posts for yourself, you should have that content calendar for yourself as well. And once you've created that content calendar, then you need to sit with that discipline and say, okay, every day I'm going to sit and write at least 500, 600 words. Uh, as per this calendar. And then every week I'm going to spend, let's say, 5, 6 hours on editing what I have written so that some stuff gets finalized, right? So those are the
Right.
three kind of deadlines you will have to set for yourself. Pace varies from person to person. So I can't say, Humera, spend 5 hours a day and you should be good, right? Because if you tell me to write a social media post on something, it'll take me 10 minutes, which means I need to only spend 10 minutes a day. versus someone who's new to writing will probably take an hour, 1.5 hours to write one post, which is okay because we all evolve with the amount of practice that we get, right? So if you are taking a little bit more time today, that's fine, because if you keep doing it every day, the time will keep getting reduced. So I won't say definitely set aside some time, X number of hours, but I would say that keep these 2, 3 deadlines. So, I have to finish a blog this week. I have to finish a social media post every 2 days. And that will automatically give you those time frames that you need to work with.
Right, right. I think that will be very helpful for me, ma'am.
Super. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. So, folks who joined in late, we are just doing a Q&A. If you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute. And if you guys can turn on your videos, that'll be awesome, because then I can see you instead of just talking to like some tiles with names. Anyone with any questions? I see some people from the cohort as well. So, hey. No questions. Wow. If you're shy, you can put them in the chat window also. Hey, Madhu, you can.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Ma'am, I can't open my video. Like, I will ask like this.
sure.
Yeah, so ma'am, actually, I've joined recently. Like, I've been active recently on LinkedIn, and I saw many writers writing their posts and creating content and doing the ghost writing kind of thing. So, because I am not a ghost writer and I am not very much into content writing, but now I'm creating content because I like writing, so I want to evolve here. So
Mm.
is it a good way, is it a good start for me? Like if I'm starting with LinkedIn, will it lead to somewhere, or it's not a very good choice?
Okay, so it's again a very interesting question, because it ties into a story that I really, really like. And if, any of you, whoever is in my 8-week cohort, you must have heard that story on one of those videos as well. It's from this Alice in Wonderland story, okay? And Alice is lost. How many? You've heard of the story, right, Madhu?
Yes, ma'am.
So in one of the books, I don't remember which book, but it happens that Alice is lost in Wonderland and she comes across that Cheshire cat sitting on a tree. And she asks the cat, I'm lost. Where do I go from here? And
Yeah.
tells her that depends on where you want to go. And Alice says, I don't know. So the cat says that any road will take you there, right?
Okay.
So when
Yeah.
you ask me, is LinkedIn the right platform and will it take me anywhere? My question is, where is it that you want to go?
Ma'am, actually, I want to develop things in content writing, but not completely as of now. That is why I'm not also joining the cohort, because I have other commitments. So I was taking this very slow right now. So I mean, I don't know how to, like, how they are doing and how, like, whether they are getting leads or they're just telling. So because in one of your sessions you also said that you need to write on websites, on some newspaper, like that is something you need to do. So was like, will that be a good option, or will LinkedIn be a good option?
So I'll say this one thing, right? And again, my cohort members know this very well, that I'm really, really hell-bent on goal setting. Yeah. So
Okay.
while you're exploring, do whatever feels right to you, which is fine. And I'm also a very big proponent of experimenting, because unless you try something, you don't know whether it works for you or not, right? So you don't need to be 100% committed to content writing. It's absolutely fine to explore it. But I would say this, right? Time is a very precious resource. Okay. We all have only a limited amount of time, and we have to make sure that we are using it to the best of what we want to do in life, right? And I'm sorry, I'm sounding a bit philosophical here. I'm also a life coach, so that sometimes seeps in.
No, ma'am.
But see, because if I blanket say, yes, LinkedIn is great, please post there every day and you will get leads, that would be going against my beliefs because I don't post on LinkedIn every week, but I still make.
Actually, I've seen stories that people have said that in 3 months I have improved this much. In 6 months we have made this. LinkedIn is a gold mine. It has a lot of opportunities. So like I've heard so much that
No, no.
as
So
I.
even when the cohort members were there, I tell them that if you want to find clients, you have to go on LinkedIn and find clients because that is where people are. But will you get clients only by posting stuff on LinkedIn? No, because as you see, a lot of other content writers are also doing the same thing,
Yes,
right?
ma'am, I've seen like they have made a profile on TopMate or Calendly, and then they arrange the meetings and
Yeah.
all also.
So my approach to client acquisition is very different. It is about networks and connections on LinkedIn rather than just randomly posting stuff on it. So my advice would be, yes, go ahead and post, see how you get a response to figure out whether content writing is for you or not. Yeah. But when you
Okay.
do decide this is what I want to do, then there is a very different strategy to go about finding your first client, right? It's it's not going to happen. I'm not going to say I never, but it's pretty
It will
unlikely.
be a long journey, like
Yeah,
it can
it's
be.
pretty unlikely that just by posting on LinkedIn, you're going to find a client, right? You've got to do other things to enable that as well. Yeah. So first post, see how the response is. Um, and once you're convinced that content writing is what I want to do, then we can explore this question even more. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't
Okay,
have to
ma'am.
join the cohort to explore that question. You can join one of those Q&A sessions. But what I want is for you to get some sense of where do you want to go, right? And then I can tell you how to get there.
Honestly, I don't know, but writing it came naturally to me. Like I never wanted to be a writer, but I'm writing since 2, 3 years. Like not a content writing stuff, but I started it with poetry and all the things. And now when I write something else also, I feel I'm good at this. So that is why I just want to explore this.
Super. And what you can also do is maybe join the WhatsApp group and ask people feedback on your writing. So you'll also get other people's perspective because sometimes I mean, I love what I write, but sometimes my client says, "Supriya, this is rubbish. Can you redo it?" So it'll be good to get feedback to also see how is your writing landing on other people. And then you will be able to get a sense of, yes, I can monetize it, right? And there's a lot of money to be
No,
made
no, ma'am.
here.
Actually, I've got compliments.
Super. That's amazing then. Your voice is breaking now. I can't hear you. Is that just me or can other people hear her? No, right? No. Madhu, I think your connection is broken. Not able to hear you. So I'm going to move to SN. I'm not sure what your name is. Maybe
Yeah,
if you could just.
yeah, I'm Seema.
Hi, Seema.
Hi. I wanted to ask a question about your 8-week cohort. So is the right time to ask it, or should
I'm
I just?
sorry, Seema. There is a bit of.
I think Madhu is trying to talk, so
Yeah, I'm not able to unmute her. I mean, mute her. Madhu, could you go on mute, please? God. How do I mute her? I'm just not able to. Okay. Sorry, Seema, could you
yeah.
yeah.
So I wanted to ask a question on the 8-week cohort. So is this the right time to ask it, or should I just? I mean,
Yeah,
this
sure.
is not okay because I had attended your last webinar last week where
Mm.
you had introduced your 8-week cohort and we had to apply for the thing.
Mm.
But for more questions, you had said that you would send an email with somebody's number and so we could get
Okay.
our doubts cleared. Now,
Let me
that
just
has
send
not
that right now.
happened.
I've just put it in the chat. That's the email ID, and I'm also going to put his number. So you can reach out to him and get questions answered. 1 second. Okay. Did you get that in the chat window? Then,
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
oh,
Yeah, I did. I did.
so he'll be able to help you out with everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and my next question was, what if I think I'm a better proofreader and editor than a content writer? I mean, is there scope for this? I mean, do people still look out for people who are specialist proofreaders, or do they get it done through Grammarly and ChatGPT now?
So people definitely pay for editors. In fact, just 2 days ago, I had got a request from someone. Supriya, do you know somebody who's an editor and proofreader with a background in so and so? We need like some 350 pages edited. But I didn't know anyone at that point in time. So yes,
Okay.
there's definitely market. Clients also come to me to get their books, etc. Edited and proofread. So that's also quite lucrative. Companies want their you know annual reports proofread. I don't see that happening a lot in the general content that I create every day, because that's supposed to be, the content writer who's supposed to do that. But for all these bigger pieces, yes, there is definitely market. Or you can even tap into all these publishing houses, right? Even the hybrid ones or the traditional publishers, they definitely require services from editors and proofreaders, and they, pay decent amount.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
no worries. Okay. Anyone else with a question?
Hello. Hello, Supriya.
Hi, Supriya. Oh, we have the same name.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, actually, I just want to ask that can ChatGPT AI can replace the content writing?
Oh, okay, this is an interesting question again. I have answered this before, but I'll tell you my take on it, okay? It's
Okay.
not just content writers. ChatGPT is, and not even ChatGPT, okay? It's about AI in general. It's going to replace everything and everyone. Yeah. If you are doing grunt work, right? If you are doing just the execution layer, yeah, because if you look at the value pyramid of work, there are people who do execution, the lowest level tasks. Then there are people who think and plan a little bit, and then there are people who lead, right? So for people who are doing the grunt work, and I'll give you an example from, let's say, when I was younger, much younger, like some 20, 25 years ago, banking was all the rage, in the sense everybody said you write that. And I come from a very like lower middle class family, and it was really, really important for us to have a secure job once we finished with our education. So everybody was like telling us that clear that public services banking exam and you will become a banker for life, and that would be like so awesome for your career. Um, because that time banking was booming. And today you look at it, how many of us even go to a bank branch, right? We do everything online. So those thousands and thousands of people who became bank tellers have no job, because there are no more, not that many branches anymore, right? So, so AI will affect you, but only if you're doing that execution layer, right? But if you move beyond, like today, my clients are not paying me only because I'm writing good content. They are also paying me because I bring some thought process to the table, and I can actually consult with them and tell them, hey, you know what, this doesn't make sense for your business. This makes sense for your business. This is what you need to write. Yeah. And yes, that's going to take you some time to get there, but the intention should be that you move only from passively writing content for somebody who's given you a topic to actively figuring out, is it really worth it for your client to write something like that, right? And then AI can't replace you. If you're only stringing two words together and making, writing SEO blogs, yes, your job and livelihood might be in danger. So you've got to up level and upskill. And I did one webinar earlier. I don't know where the recording is now, but it talked about what are the 2, 3 things that are going to be really important for you to work on yourself. Storytelling is one, right? Building your network and connections is another, right? Because people trust people, people want to have relationships with people. Sci-fi movies aside, we're not having relationships with AI, right? So if I know a client, if I'm delivering value to a client, if I am on friendly terms with a client, they will come back to work with me because they want that human connection, right? So you've got to level up on those areas, and you've got to start thinking like, if AI can do X, Y, Z, what else can I do that I still stay relevant to my clients? Yeah. And then you will, then it can't replace.
Okay, thank you. Sophia.
No worries. I'm sorry if I scared you, but I
No,
like to call this
I just
thing
want to know.
cool.
Hello,
Hi,
hello,
who?
hello.
Hey, Beneath, hi.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So, ma'am, I'm a content writer with 6 months of experience. So, ma'am, my question is, which tool is best for plagiarism checker and AI detector for content writing? And now another one is, if I want to start apart from job, I want to start a content writing as a freelancer. So how to start, ma'am?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is for the other part, second part of the question, I will send you a video I did on how to get started as a content writer. But for the first part, the tools, it depends whether you want a premium version or a unpaid version. I use Grammarly Premium for plagiarism check and Originality AI for AI detection, again, the paid version. There is also CopyLeaks AI, which is free, which you can also use for AI detection. And there is a Copyscape for plagiarism, which is paid, but which is really good. And it's quite cheap. Like, for a few rupees, you're able to check large, text bodies. So that is what I like. There are other free plagiarism tools, I guess, that you can use, but they're not that accurate. So they'll still leave some scope for error. So for plagiarism, I would say try and use something which, is a paid version and really catches uh, the problematic areas. So I'll find out that link to the other video and I'll share. But to get started as a content writer, I did one more webinar, which was about my Ascend framework, which talks about various levels that you need to master in to really become a highly paid content writer. And the first is to figure out what are your skills, right? What are you good at? Can you write emails, or is social media your thing, or do you like long or prefer long form copy? What is the language that you're great at? And then say, okay, if this is my skill set, who is paying for the skill set, right? So recently someone came to me and they're like, I'm a vernacular writer. What do I do? There are a lot of people who are paying for vernacular writing and translation, etc. So that's where they can make money, right? So then figure out which is the next step, right? What you're good at, and then identify who's going to pay you for it. And after that, start creating a portfolio. A lot of like, I've asked this community for portfolios several times in the past, and most of the time people don't have a portfolio, right? So make a very good portfolio that is very appealing to the people that you're reaching out to, that so good that they want to have a chat with you, right? Once you have that portfolio, then the next step is to start reaching out to clients and say, hey, you know what? I saw what you're doing. It's amazing. But here's how I can help you do it better, get you more engagement, more leads, more revenues. And would you like to have a chat? Then have a conversation with them. Tell them what you can do for them, like put your offer out. Of course, then it comes setting your pricing, negotiation, and ultimately converting and delivering and retaining the client. I'm actually going to put out that YouTube link here. There are lots of videos on this topic, right? How do you get started as a freelance content writer? How do you find clients? How do you build a business as a freelancer? All these videos are available here. So please go and they're in depth, in detail, and it also has like perspective from a lot of different people who were kind enough to come and talk to me. So you can go and check out those videos to get better, like a more detailed answer to this than I can give right now.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So, ma'am, basically, I am to correct my grammar. I am using Quillboard. So, is it good, ma'am? And also for the checking the rating and some numbers. If I want to know about the my scoring rate, I am using Hemingway and the content scale AI detector for the plagiarism checker and do all these things, ma'am.
So I don't know about the last one. I've never used it, but the rest of them look fine to me. Those tools should be fine.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was saying,
Yes, ma'am.
other than the last one, the AI one, which I have not used, the other tool look fine to me. So using them is okay.
Ye- Yes, ma'am. So I think the Google Bard and Chat GPT. So which tool is best for the content writing, taking the ideas from that?
Both have their own strength. I use both of them. Depends on what you want. ChatGPT might come up with better narratives and stories. Google Bard comes up with better data points and more relevant stuff in terms of research. So it's both like a mixture of both.
Yes, ma'am. So if I want to improve in content as a content writer, if I want to master, so which skill I should focus to become best?
That's a very I don't know if I can answer that question because that'll be a long list of things, right? There's actually an email in the 30-day email course. Have you signed up for that, Vineet?
No, ma'am, I didn't sign up that.
Okay, let me put a link to that. Sign up for that course. It's a free course. You will get 30 emails over 30 days. And it actually talks about, it also will ask you questions and it has a quiz and everything. And it'll tell you what are the skills you need over a period of those emails. So I'm going to put that link here. It's a very good course, even if I say so myself. Anyone who's taken that course?
Oh yeah, Supriya, it's me. I have taken that email course.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I've given the feedback also.
Ah, okay. Super. Ah, thank you, Faith. Done twice. Amazing. So, I've left the link beneath. Please go and sign up for that course. I'll give you a lot of these answers. Yeah. Cool. Anyone else with a question?
No. Yeah, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
I observed in your mails that you will only send the text, like, why can't you send your YouTube videos also along with your email newsletters?
So sometimes there are YouTube videos, and I feel it is also to do with me as a person. I'm more of a writer. I write faster.
Okay,
I
okay.
translate my ideas into writing faster. Videos takes me time because I'm just not that very I'm older. So I haven't grown up with video. In fact, when I grew up, we didn't even have a TV. So this whole, sitting in front of a camera, like how you guys are all off camera right now, I was like that
Yes.
till 2 years ago, right? So sitting in front of a camera and talking is not really something that I'm very comfortable with. So it's a personal quirk that I prefer writing, and hence my emails are text. But
Okay.
yes, there are some videos, and I'm planning to create more, but it takes me effort, and hence like it's
Is that a
human
good
tendency.
idea to send like that?
Sorry?
Is that a good idea? I mean,
Yeah,
sending
I know
YouTube
people who
videos
only send
along with
video
the
courses.
newsletters.
Like they'll only write 2 lines in their email and say, go watch this video. So everybody, I think it's personal preference for everybody or what they feel their target audience should be, right? And I also felt
Okay.
that as a community of content writers, if you guys can't sit and read a 600-word email, then there is no hope, right? Because reading is a very, very
Yes.
important aspect of being content writer. So for me, it is also a filtration mechanism to see um who's serious about the writing journey, right? Because you are at least sitting and reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's both of these things.
Okay, Sukta, thank you.
Cool. Okay, Hate has a question. What resources to trust for writing our content? So that's also a very interesting question. And typically, I would say every industry or every niche that you're working in has some established bodies, right? Or established publications or people who the industry looks up to, right? And what they say is generally universal truth, right? So, for example, when I'm in technology, people look at McKinsey's or the Gartners or the BCG's of the world to say if they have said something about technology, that means that is true, right? And verifiable information. So for me, those sources are sources I can go to confidently and pick up data from there, right? But the internet is full of random things. So sometimes if you're searching for information, you might come across some lot of user generated content, which also looks reasonable, but like all those listicles, etc. But when you actually dig down into the data, you'll find either it's incorrect interpretation or the data is like some 20 years old and is not relevant anymore today. So in terms of trusting the sources, you should identify which are these influencers and opinion leaders in whichever industry that you're working in, and go with what they have said if you can find the data there, right? Or look for publications that are not sponsored as such, right? I won't even say sponsored because there is definitely paid content and all those things, but let's say like a Forbes or something to do with supply chains or something to do with lifestyle, because those are the people who are doing their groundwork and their verification before they're publishing anything. So some of those credible publications is what you can also take as a source, credible source. Any primary research agency also has credible data, so you can look at that. I don't recommend any paid databases, etc., to go for and look at information or paid libraries. I think all the information that you might need to create a piece of content is available on Google. You just have to be creative in terms of figuring out what that is. And Heth, you're a part of the next cohort, which is starting. So we will cover this in detail there as well. And you will, there is one whole day dedicated to how to research effectively. So you'll get answers there also. Hope that helped. Okay, Sabah has a question. Guys, if you put it on chat, it's very difficult for me to go and search which question came first. How much research should we do? So that depends on how much you already know about the topic, right? And this is an interesting question because I know for sure, and this has come up many times before, that people go down a rabbit hole of research. You open something, you read it, something interesting pops up, you want to know more about it, you go to another article, you click something else, you search for another keyword and you keep reading, right? So what I do for myself is first I create an outline that this is what I want to write. If I know nothing about the topic, I will go read at least 5-6 articles up front about what this topic is all about. Then based on that, I'll create an outline and I will only research what fits that outline. Yeah. And I'll say, okay, I won't read more than 2-3 articles per section and I'll just scan through them. I will not dive in detail in that. And I'll also block my time. So for everything I have to do, my time is chunked out. So I'll say, okay, 2 hours today, I'm working on this article and I'll only do the research and keep it aside. Also, I don't write stuff all in one go. So I'll first do the research, keep it aside, work on it the next day, right? So I'll maybe spend those 2.5 hours, and whatever I'm able to research in that time frame, I stick to that and move forward with it, right? Sometimes I also depend on subject experts to give me that data and information. So it's very important to time yourself, and it's very important to outline so that you stay within the boundaries of the research and don't go in all directions. And if you do that, you will find that you're able to research faster and, stick to the point. Okay, anyone else? Any question? If you have a question, please raise your hand so I can unmute you. No one. Okay, Deepak has a question. How do I find out which are the authorities in my niche? For reference, it's vegan and sustainable eating. Again, you can go and just Google top 10 top voices in vegan and sustainable eating, right? Or vegan plus sustainable eating magazines, or vegan influencers, and then go from there, right? Or vegan diet experts. And that will give you a list of people. You'll have to do a bit of research to identify that. Or if you know someone who is a vegan influencer, for example, you can see who are they following, who do they talk about, who are these people who show up on podcasts, on, who are writing extensively about this topic, and then they become, those breadcrumbs lead you to the right people. Hey, Aditi.
I'll ask my question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so sometimes while writing an article, I feel the challenge that I have written whatever I wanted in, let's say, 300, 400 words, while it is a 1,000-word article. How do you go about that in such a case?
Okay. And you're saying you feel that you've written everything that's important.
Yes, important points have been talked about. There are like the goal of the blog is fairly being met. Like, it might not be the greatest thing, but what I wanted to write for is being met. But I am really low on the word count.
Okay, so in that case, stories and examples are amazing ways to fill up the word count, right? Because you can stretch stories and examples. And I also do that a lot, right? So suppose I'm talking about, let's say, what was I writing recently? Something about data, right? And it's a topic that's done to death, so it's difficult to keep writing new things, right? But I have to meet my word count. So I will first start with outlining a problem statement for the company in a story format, right? That John was the chief data officer or the chief executive officer of so and so company, and they were not able to do XYZ, and this is what was blocking his performance or outcomes, right? And then I'll actually dive into the introduction and write some stuff. Then I'll say, if I have a case study, I'll say, by the way, so and so company did this and this was the outcome. So I can elaborate on that, right? So I'll do 2 or 3 case studies to sort of showcase how it happens. If I don't have a case study, I'll do a use case. And for those of you who don't know the difference, a case study is when you've actually done the work and showed the result. A use case is when you're talking about possibility, that yes, this can happen, when you follow certain a solution or an approach, right? So if I put it in yoga terms, I'll say, Supriya did yoga and she lost 2 kilos, and this is how it happened. That's a case study. You can do yoga regularly and lose up to 2 kilos. That's a use case. So that's the difference. But when you add, sorry, I went off on a tangent because I thought other people who are not from a tech background might not know. So that storytelling sort of stretches the narrative a little bit. And also, sometimes it's important to say there are 2 ways to include things in an article. What people should do and what people shouldn't do, right? So when you're talking about things that you want to push at them, it's like when you make art, negative space is also good, right? Sometimes it looks better. So sometimes it's okay to go off on a tangent and make a box which says, by the way, this also happens, right? If you don't do this, this is what the consequence is. So that those kind of, and I showed you the in our call the other day, I showed you that report, right? So those boxes, those call outs, those use cases, they sort of come together to lengthen the narrative. I'm totally, I'm in favor of writing crisp, small copy that is very, very easy to digest and everything should have a point. But these stories make it interesting. You can even add questions to add a bit of word count, like just add a row of 5, 6 questions. That'll also help. So that sort of stretches things out. Does that help?
Understood. I have like a little bit of an extension to this question, if I may ask.
Sure.
What percentage of quoted content references can be a part of the blog or article?
Okay. So if it's a book that you're writing, then you can at a time quote like even a paragraph as it is, right? But if you're writing a 1,000-word article, not more than like a line or two of quoted input from a source should be added, and max like 2 sources in a 1,000-word article, not more than that, unless those quotes are from your content. So, for example, you did a podcast or a webinar with a group of industry experts, and you're just writing a report on that, then you can quote them throughout, right? Because it is your content. But if you're quoting someone else's content, then not more than like a line or two. And that too, some of them are very stringent. Like Gartner typically wouldn't allow you to use whatever they've said. Even as a quote, you have to take a special permission. And that sort of, in your industry, because I mean, this is the grapevine thing, right? You work in an industry and you get to know these things, who's okay with it and who's not okay with it. So I don't have a specific answer to that. But yeah, in terms of quotes, that's pretty much what is allowed, not more than that.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No worries. Okay, maybe one last question. I see some chat is pinging. Hey Deepak, you want to unmute yourself?
Hey, Supriya.
Hi.
Since we were talking about case study, I had a question regarding it. Like when, I haven't worked with any content writing, or paid content writing work yet. So, the question is like, can I use like in content and stuff like my social media content? Can I use other brands who have gotten success, even though I haven't directly gotten that success through a particular strategy in content writing?
Okay, I'm just gonna rephrase that to understand whether I've got it right. You're saying you want to create posts for your LinkedIn, and you're
Yes.
asking me whether for those posts you have to share your success stories, or can you also talk about other brands who've got success? Is that correct?
Yes, like until I have my own case study, can I use a case study that are out there in public domain? That's my question.
So, there is this guy, Karthik, I forget his full name. He does that very regularly. Okay. That's actually what his entire LinkedIn presence is all about. He gives these shout outs to people. So he's a marketing guy, and he gives these shout outs on LinkedIn to brands who have done Karthik Srinivasan. Thank you, Aditi. To brands who have done amazing advertising campaigns, right? And his entire LinkedIn channel is just made up of that. He doesn't do his own case studies or anything. But what he's doing is giving value to people who want to see those campaigns. He does an analysis of those campaigns and see what went right, what went wrong. And also he's giving due credit. So nowhere he's saying this is my work. He's saying these are the guys who are doing amazing work. This is what they've done great. and this is what you can learn from them, right? So if you do something like that, yes, it is totally acceptable, but you should never present somebody else's work as saying, I could also do this. So don't do that, right? Because then that's appropriation and that's frowned upon. Yeah. So, but yes, feel free to be nice to other people on LinkedIn, and that should be okay.
Thank you, Supriya.
No worries. Yeah, even mad over marketing does it. Do you have another question, Deepak? You're on mute. Okay.
I was trying to lower my hand and I think I raised it back again. So, yeah.
No worries. Okay, so I have one question from Sheetal. A fresher has no knowledge about the topic. So I'm assuming we're talking about writer's block. And if he's done with writing, it shows some plagiarism and grammar mistakes. What should we do? Okay, so from a writer's block perspective, like I said, there are multiple ways to overcome that. If you don't have any knowledge of the topic, like I just said, what I do when I don't know anything about the topic is go read about what other people are saying, right? Once you start reading what other folks are doing, you sort of build an understanding of what needs to be said, right? So that's the research of getting to know the topic. If you're writing for someone else, you need to ask them to explain it to you, right? So a lot of time I write for my clients on technology topics that are fairly new to me, and then I have to get on to long calls and understand what do they even mean by this technology, right? Because I don't know the technology till they explain it to me. Yeah. So two ways: research it on your own and then ask whoever the client is to explain it to you. So that way you build an understanding of what the topic is, right? Second thing is, if you're blank, you don't know what to write, then you, of course, today have these generative AI engines like ChatGPT to give you that nudge and say, okay, here's how you can get started. You can also just write whatever comes to your mind, give it a pause, come back to it, and then look at it right like a reader the next day and say, is it making any sense to me? And edit it, right? So that, sometimes writer's block is only because we want to be perfect in the first statement that we ever write, but that's never going to happen, right? So write whatever comes to your mind and then come back and edit it once, twice, thrice, multiple times. Even today, I end up editing my stuff, like whatever I write, at least 3 to 4 times because I'm just not happy with whatever it is, right? Okay, can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, Sabah, you'll have to probably check your connection. Okay. So then the next part of the question was plagiarism and grammar mistakes, which I already talked about. You use Grammarly to fix it for you. You can even use ChatGPT to fix it for you. And you can use tools again like Grammarly or Copyscape to figure out plagiarism and, remove it. So hopefully that answers your question. Cool. I think with that, we are out of time. I just want to say one last thing, which you guys will get an email about it tomorrow, but maybe I thought I'll give you one heads up on it. So, like I said, I have this 8-week program and we are opening applications to it again. And if you want to apply for it, here is a link. And I think Fahim is also on the call. Oops, what did I just do? So I've put the link in the chat window. You can go apply for the program. And like I said, you will also get an email which tells you the details about the program. Or otherwise, reach out to Fahim. I sent you his email ID and his phone number, and he can explain more about the program. We start on 12th of February. And as always, I'm going to take a small set of people and work with them. So looking forward to seeing some of you there. And thank you for joining in today. And I'll do this Q&A again next month, and you can come back with your questions. And I hope to see more faces the next time. Yeah. Cool. Okay, I have a chat again. Email ID and phone again. Yes, sure. 1 second. Fahim, are you here? Yes, thank you. So Fahim M is the person you need to reach out to. He's on the call. And he's like Messed up his own email ID, Fahim. Okay, wait. I'm gonna write his correct email ID. Cool. Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.